Jitsu with Miami Dolphins. The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphin touchdown. Throwing deep upfield on the near side. Man open. Touchdown! Looking deep. He's got a man. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it over the touchdown. Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached some great offensive linemen in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
Like the water said to the hole in the ground, well. I welcome all y'all back to another episode of the Finish Line after a brief hiatus. Richmond had two vacations, one on a cruise ship and another one in a spare bedroom by himself.
You already know, brother. I was like, man, yeah.
How you feeling, Richmond? You sound even more after dark with your baritone voice right now than we're used to. So, how you feeling right now?
I feel pretty good. I got a little Barry White left in me, but I should be back fully to normal. Bit other than my voice, I feel much better. I still got a little cough, bit. Always glad to be back on the show with my brothers, this and that. I did miss y'all last week. I just couldn't do it. And like you said, I got kicked out the bedroom and to the left. She pulled the Beyonce on me to the left up to the guest bedroom. So I made it through that. So I'm back in stride again. I got my maze going now. So I'm back in stride again. So I'm doing good. But man, just happy to be back on air. I had a great time on the cruise. Met a lot of cool Dolphin fans. This and that, got to interact and, chop it up with them and this and that. And so that was my first cruise. Didn't know what to expect, but for the most part, it went really well until I got ready to come home and caught COVID. But other than that, man, I'm good. So how you doing, Mr. BallGame?
Man, it's always good to be back with y'all, man. Missed you guys, man. Real talk. But, I've been hella busy, man, trying to inspire the next generation of great track athletes. Track season it is here in Florida, so much like the rest of the country, I think, at this point. And I got some really good talented kids, man, trying to make it to the state. So life's good, man. Just ready to get back into the groove of things, man. And training camp can't get here soon enough. Ready for football, bro. So
OTAs have at least started, so we're slightly there. And guys, we are literally 8 days away from night one.
8 days away. Yeah.
I haven't asked you guys, but consider this me asking you guys. Night 2, Friday night, I'll be doing the usual panel. I know you guys have been a part of it every year. So if you guys are around for pick 51 and 84 on night 2. That's where I'm really putting together the panel. Kevin Dern and a couple other guys will be, the usual guys will be coming through. So if you guys would like, we'll have you on Friday as well. I don't know what I'm doing for night 1 yet. I'm not going to ask everyone to come out for night 1 if we don't make a pick. You know what I mean? So I might just rock night 1 by myself and then maybe do a panel with all of y'all on night 2. Because I don't even know if I'm going to go live for day 3. Well, I'm going to sit around and wait till round 6 and 7 or hope they trade up into round 5. You know what I mean? Like, come on. You know what I mean? I don't know about that. I think night 2 is the night for everyone to tune in, right? So, yeah. So we'll talk about that as we get closer and stuff like that. And we're gonna have some draft talk as we get closer too. Because our next episode is the night before the draft.
Right.
So, all right. Now beyond that, listen, we haven't had your guys. We haven't had a chance. First, let's pick Richmond's brain, and then I want to ask you guys something before we get into Grier and Tua's media availabilities today, with a dash of Marvin Allen. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna get into the Dalvin Cook stuff, a little bit. But before we do, Richmond, I want to pick your brain a little bit because I'm sure people might have questions in the chat too. The cruise, how was it? You know, obviously there were great people there, like Doll Freaky. I saw she was out there with her family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was also a bunch of great players out there too. Listen, okay, you know, I can imagine how it is interacting with fans, so I'm not going to ask you that aspect. And especially some fans. Listen, my question to you is, how is it like just getting back together with the boys? You know what I mean? Like, especially in that kind of setting, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of like, you're out in the middle of the ocean, you're going to some nice islands. Obviously, a lot of y'all are probably bringing the wives and families along too. But how is it just a lot getting back together with the boys and exchanging war stories and stuff?
Man, that was cool. You know, we had a couple of, I'm gonna say like a panels or whatever, where we answer questions, and Joe Rose and Jimmy Cephalo and Kim Camper, they would kind of narrate or, you know, be the MC and ask different questions. So one panel was just all guys from the 72 team. It was probably about maybe 10 of those guys. And then I was on a panel with, I think, the 90s and 2000 guys. So we did that one time. But then what was kind of cool was they had like a sports bar on the cruise ship. And so after we get through doing everything at night, all the players and stuff would get together, go over there, hang out, you know, might have some drinks, and then they start playing spades and stuff like that. So some trash talking going on and this and that and all that. So it was good. We actually got a chance to kind of intermingle, and then you got to meet some guys that, like, I met a guy on the 72 team, Ed Jenkins. Well, when I was at A&M, his brother played for the University of Houston, and I didn't know that was his brother too. We was talking on, you know, right before the deal. And so that, you know, it was like wild little deals like that. And it was a great time. You know, got a chance to kind of, you know, fellowship with Dan a little bit, because most of the time he's busy. You know, he's always working if I see him at the game, stuff like that. So, man, it was a good time. Like I told most people, this was my first cruise ever. So, but man, it was really good. The food was good, this and that, and then just having a chance to kind of interact and, you know, have that camaraderie again. That was
that water
cool.
park.
So I had a great.
That water park on top looked actually decent for like on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Did you check that out or what?
I looked at it, but yeah, I don't do.
It looked
water
decent,
like that. Yeah.
You know. Come on, son.
Yeah. I just had the fin on my helmet. I don't swim like that, bro. I don't mess around in the water like that. Yeah, I was like,
you don't even frolic. You don't even frolic. Come on.
I don't play around too much in that water, bro. We stopped at the first stop.
2 toes on land, huh?
Yeah, I gotta keep that sand between my toes, brother. I gotta feel it. And so, you know, they took us back there. So MSC was a cruise line, which I guess a lot of them. So we was in Bimini, Bahamas, or whatever it is, not too far. So they bought like an island and developed it, you know, where it's got like little deal. You get in the water, play water volleyball. They had stuff like that set up. So we was walking back there, and a little bit further, they had a place for the players and stuff. But I found this cabana. It had a table up under there, and it was facing the water and stuff like that. And I can't lay on those little deals because once that sun started getting to, even though the breeze is blowing, big fella get hot. So I said, no, let me stay up under this cabana. And people would come by and talk to me and take pictures and stuff like that. So it was cool. So I had a great time at that and all that. So I stayed in my lane. I didn't try to do more than what I was supposed to be doing. I did that, but yeah, we had a good time. No complaints.
At the Copacabana. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. BallGame, what did you do with your time off?
My wife back here full time though, so I've been busy. But coaching, man.
Relax.
Coaching, bro. Coaching, man. I pour everything I have into my kids, man, and save just enough for my grandbaby, man, between balancing the family, with her being a new addition and making sure I give my kids the best training, the best advice and best coaching they can get to be the best version of themselves, man. That's it for me, man. I watch all of the stuff happening in sports, and my sons keep me abreast of things I do, things that I miss. But for the most part, man, I stay dialed in and just stay in my lane, man. Like Richmond said, I'm a coach to my core, man. So track, I think, is a essential sport for so many other sports that most of the kids down here want to be involved in. So, once they leave me, they don't understand. Once they leave me, they don't deal with, and they remove the word "can't" out of their vocabulary. They push through and they become stronger, better versions of themselves, man. And most of the coaches that get my kids, like we was at the district meet just Monday, and I had 3 coaches came to me talking about the kids that I sent to them that were 8th graders last year, and they already over there building their programs around them, and their programs helping them because the kids are built different. They come in with a different mindset. They don't quit on themselves. They don't let people around them quit on them. If that energy is wrong, they separate themselves from it because they don't want to be affected by none of that. I can't do this. I need somebody to do it for me type. So they know. They came over and thanked me for that. So, for the most part, bro, it's
good stuff.
That's just what I do. That's what I've been doing, right? And just waiting for us to get back here. So,
dare I say, BallGame is teaching game to the new generation of ballers?
Yeah, man.
The new ballers.
Somebody got to do
it. It's true. And you know what? You say it like you've said this before, right? And I've said this before after you've said that. And I'll say it again. Look at all these key positions offensively. How many guys have track backgrounds? Even corners and safeties. Look at these guys. You even see linebackers nowadays, some of them coming out with track backgrounds. Like, this is real, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you look into a lot of kids and you find high school track backgrounds, and then guess what? Come combine, they end up being great. They were great athletes in high school that excelled at track, and then they end up being great combine testers, and they go high in the draft and stuff, So it's correlation. Just saying, So, okay, listen, before we get into all this stuff, because it is going to be part of what we talk about tonight when we get into Grier and Marvin Allen. Anyways, English is hard. Your guys' thoughts on, I know you guys have heard it because it's been almost impossible to avoid it, whether you've been locked up in a bedroom by yourself or whether you've been in the bedroom with another person. It doesn't matter. What are you guys' thoughts on the Dalvin Cook rumblings right now? Like, do you guys believe where there's smoke, there's fire? Because everyone's heard my thoughts on them, so I'm not going to regurgitate them. If you watch this channel, what do you guys think?
I'll go first. First, when I first heard it, and I remember you had mentioned that a while back. That crossed my mind, but then, and we'll get into it later, but when I was listening to like Grier and Allen, I think somebody posed that question to them, and I guess the way they answered it was, we have 4 running backs, we're happy with them, but I think a lot of them have 1-year deals. So I was like, Okay. So I think they I think they knew this was coming. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if they're working, because I know, and from what you said, he wants to be in Miami. He's from this area, this and that. So he's probably telling his agent, man, let's see if we can get it done, this and that. And man,
Ramsey all over again.
Man, that would be a hell of an addition if we get that kid there. My goodness.
Imagine if he does what he does, what Ramsey does. Look at BallGame. This is the correlation of BallGame again. That's 2 FSU guys that would have forced their way back home, basically.
Florida State boys, Tomahawks. Yeah, what you know about that BallGame?
You already know, baby. The stage. Hey, I stay on my tonal just so I can all year long. You know what I mean? The thing for me, man, is that like they said pretty much everything you need to know without actually just laying it out there. Not to disrespect anyone, but if you understand media talk and how to read between the lines, they basically, with that contract situation that they said, they tell you, these guys on 1-year deals, right? But you're always looking to get better, right? And then Dalvin is a major upgrade right out the gate. And I don't think any of our running backs, no slight to anyone, but no one in that running back room is going to be upset if the Miami Dolphins decide to pull the trigger and bring a Dalvin Cook in, because the guy is the dude. He is that guy, and I just think, man, with Grier at the helm, bro, like anything is possible. This dude is gonna pull the trigger. If he can pull the trigger, it ain't gonna matter, because when he said, Stephen Ross gives them the flexibility to do whatever is necessary, you know what I'm saying, to make this team as competitive and put the best product on the field. I gotta believe that door is still open. We got his head and they're looking around the corner at Minnesota saying, I'm just waiting on you. Type of deal, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So. Yeah. Like I think this, I think this whole talk of them cutting him right now, I think they're just trying to posture for better. They're trying to get a better return right now, because we're saying, okay, if you cut him, you got to designate him as a post June 1st to save your $9 million. And we have the cap we have right now, we'd have over 17 million. Go ahead and cut him. See how that works out for you.
Facts.
Right. So, and I don't know if you guys saw, but it's the rumors are leaking everywhere. It's crazy right now. So anyways, let's get into this. Let's start off with Grier and Marvin Allen today. Listen, someone asked me today, hey, what did you make about the fact that Mike McDaniel wasn't there? And I said, well, Marvin Allen leads our scouting department, and this is a draft press conference. I like that they gave Marvin Allen the platform, to be honest with you. A nice difference. And Mike McDaniel probably said, give him the platform, you know what I mean? So anyways, let's get into this, and we're gonna go through them, and then we'll go over to it, because there's a lot of talking points here. So let's go over this.
I just wanted to ask you a couple things on right tackle. At this point, you're thinking that Austin that the expectation would be your starter? And also, are you keeping in the back of your mind, keeping in the back of your mind the possibility of moving Robert Hunt to right tackle, or would you prefer?
It's always right off the start. It is the best. Yes, the expectation is Austin is as the starter at right tackle. We're excited for him. I know he was frustrated with some of the injuries last year. But he's been working hard. He's been doing a lot of stuff here in the off season. Having Tehran around, here with another year, being around him for a year in the off season will be tremendous value for him. And for us, we'd like to see Robert stay at one position right now, stay at guard, where, again, you've heard me say it here many times. I think he has tremendous potential, and it is already, I believe, a very good player at that position in the league.
Okay, let's stop right there, because people are making a big deal about this today, and I'm going to tell you guys what I said. I don't believe him. And I'll tell you exactly why. Because Chris Grier, one thing about Chris Grier, and I've had people who are around him tell me this. I've had people in the building tell me that. Like, I've had so many people tell me this. He tells you basically the truth. If you always listen closely to him, he will tell you the truth without telling you the truth. And he has mentioned multiple times, and he didn't mention it today. And funny enough, it's right before the draft, which makes me think that's because they're smoke screening it. He's mentioned every time Austin Jackson's going to have competition. They have signed no one. There is and I've said this before and I'll say it again, there's a reason why Brandon Shell is sitting on the sideline right now, sitting on his hands, and it ain't because of money, all right? And I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't believe them. I've heard they really like Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse, who can play left tackle and right tackle. I've heard him for months. And if you want my honest opinion, I think they're hoping one of those tackles is there at 51, and that's why they told Brandon Shell and everyone, stay pat. We're not making any move until we see how this draft plays out. I've been steady with that, and I don't believe this for 1 second, because he would listen. Because of how many times he said he's going to bring in competition, why wouldn't you just sign Shell right now? If Shell was the end game, you would have wrapped that up. Why are you letting him dangle out there when another team can come scoop him after the draft? If they don't get a player they like, they could be in the same position you are if you miss out. Just doesn't make it doesn't jive. They're not, they have not set themselves up with the fallback plan. And he even said right there, Robert Hunt ain't the fallback plan if Austin Jackson don't work out. He's sticking at guard. So someone else name the other right tackle on this roster right now. I'm just saying, all signs keep pointing to the draft. I want your guys' thoughts on this because, listen, I'm not here calling him a liar. It's smokescreen season. There's reasons why you leave things out and don't mention things. I just think this is the first time he hasn't mentioned competition when Austin Jackson's name's been brought up in how many months?
I think for me,
constantly being brought up. Yeah, go ahead, BallGame.
Yeah, I think for me, this is the season of smoke screens. I mean, because one, we don't have a first. So two, showing interest in a player too early kind of screws you out of the whole process. And it may tend to, because, the league's copycat. So even if you get past the first 30 some odd players, if you start showing people know you got an interest in somebody, they might take the person just so you can't have them. You know what I mean? And just because he's the best player available at that point. You know what I'm saying? There's been tons of teams that draft and you looking like, well, you just took last year, but you took another one, this type of thing. You see what I'm saying? So competition is what they said they're going to have at every level. They repeated that over again when they were talking, saying they want competition. So,
yep.
It's not far-fetched to believe that, they will pull the trigger to bring somebody in and then maybe move. The thought process is Austin will be the starter, but at right tackle, but that don't mean shit to me. I'm with you on this one. I don't believe it until I see it. And right now at this point, that's a weakness, and not we don't know what he looks like being down there with Duke right now. We don't know what he's gonna look like when you put the pads on. So
he's not with Duke. He just put out a video and he wasn't working with Duke. He was working with someone else.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I just played the video a couple of shows ago. He's with someone else.
Oh wow.
And the other thing is, BallGame, to your point, of course the expectation is a starter again. Is there any other starting right tackle on the team right now?
No. so yeah, he just thought by default. So, you're right. He did tell the truth. He did tell you what you needed to know without telling you what you needed to know. So
yeah.
And competition is going to be at every place along that line. So I don't really want to call the man a liar, but I know that he's smart enough to know that Austin you definitely got to have a solid backup plan in the event, and you mess around too long, somebody will snatch up Shell and then grab you and win. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, man, because there's going to be a lot of games being played between now and next Thursday. So
let me add another layer to this when I ask you this, Rich. Now that you can cover this, Richmond, your thoughts on this, but this is another layer, guys. And I haven't even mentioned this on the channel yet, but I'll mention this because it crossed my mind today. Do you guys really think he's going to risk everything he's built heading into this season on Austin Jackson with no backup plan? Like, I just don't see this. I haven't heard they're interested in guards here. They've been telling UDFA left guards, guys who are known UDFA. This is in Barry Jackson articles. They have told guys who are going to be known UDFA guards if you stick around, we are going to give you a chance to compete for a starting job. They're telling UDFA guards that. If they draft a tackle or guard, it's over for Eichenberger, Jackson. What are your thoughts, Richmond? I just don't also see Grier pitching what he's built and to his health to.
Yeah, he can't. No, he can't. I think the thing is, the best case scenario would be for Austin Jackson to come in, start, and then, show that, he can play consistently weekend without being injured. I think the injuries have been a problem in the past. And like you said, what they've built so far and the way they're putting this together, you can't just go into the season and say, I'm putting out everything on the roulette table on Austin Jackson. And not that he doesn't like Austin Jackson, it's just that with the injuries and stuff like that, you just can't bet on him being, there long term. So it makes perfect sense, what you and BallGame were saying. It's right before the draft, and they can't just come out and say, excuse me, oh, we like this player here, that player there, we're gonna bring him in to be competitive competition. And like you said, they've been talking about having competition at every position. And I think you need that, because all that's going to do is make you a better football team. So I think they got their eye on somebody in the draft. Who it is, I don't know. But like you said, the kids you mentioned, if he can play right and left tackle, if that plan doesn't fail, then like you said, I can see them bringing Shell in or something like that. But just going in there and saying, no, Austin Jackson, our guy, we're going to go with it. And even from the questions from the media, they don't even believe that that's the thing that you should do, just based on the way they was asking us. So, they know he got some up his sleeve. He can't reveal it, and I understand it. I understand what he's doing, but like you said, he tried to give it to you without giving it to you.
All right, let's keep rolling here. Yeah, because if a guy like DeJuan Jones, the right tackle from Ohio State, is there, I don't know how you can't pull that trigger. So, anyways.
I can address this one to Marvin. When Channing and Eric were selected last year, was the expectation kind of always that maybe they would need a year before they could really make some?
I wanted to include this because
just on special teams.
Yeah, I think when we selected them, we knew the progression for both of them would be, in the future. So you get guys and you want to give them a chance to sit back and learn and do some things on special teams, but knowing that their value would be much more down the line than it was like immediately.
So I just wanted to show that because a lot of people are panicking about Tindall and Eric Ezukanma, and I've said to people, because a lot of people thought, chosen, that might be, never mind Cedric, that might be Eric Ezukanma. And I've been telling people, listen, they haven't even seen Eric Ezukanma on the field yet in the regular season consistently. They're not going to move off him. And I keep trying to tell people, Welker went to Texas Tech. He understands how underdeveloped these kids' route trees are coming out of there. He's going to get him ready. You will see him when he's ready. That's why I wanted to include that, because some people have kept asking questions about him. So
Chosen wasn't even promised anything, bro. Just an opportunity.
No. I think he's more of an indictment on, and we'll get to it here because they mentioned it, but I think Chosen's more of an indictment on Cedric, not Eric Ezukanma. So
not Eric Ezukanma.
Yeah. So let's keep it going because they get to that.
Marvin, to get your thoughts on Tua, where he stands 3 years through and the future for him.
Well, I think he's went through the the protocol, and we have all the faith in the world in him, and so
there you go.
He's our quarterback, and we think moving forward he's going to be the quarterback that gets us to where we want to go.
We heard Coach McDaniel talk about the story of kind of bringing his tape to you guys, the entire building last year on the Mike Silver podcast. I don't know if you guys heard that. I was curious your guys' perspective on when Mike was so fired up that night of watching the tape and bringing it to y'all.
Well, I think Mike was excited to work with him.
Yeah.
Even before that, he had watched, some film of him, but he knew him from the draft. But I think once he got here and really dug in and got to spend time and, because obviously he was busy with the 49ers and they were on their playoff run. And he put together and strung all the stuff that made sense for his offense. I think he showed it to everyone in the building, just, going around. He was so excited that I think he pulled an all-nighter putting it together, and he was so happy when all the scouts came in. So I saw it like 5 times. So it's just like, okay, I get it, Mike. He's good and you're excited. But yeah, the relationship the two of them have, watching them, how they work and communicate, and it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's a lot different than it was, huh?
Progress do you feel you've made in the Wilkins extension talks?
Yeah, I've had some good talks with his agent. As I've always said, we're going to keep those conversations private. But excited for Christian. He's a very good player here. You know how we feel about him. We've talked about what he's done on and off the field for us. So we're still working through it, but hopefully we can get him here and keep him here for a long time.
Okay, well, you guys, while Richmond was sipping pina coladas in Bahamas, and BallGame was over here taking care of mamas. Me and Neil broke the news that
just one.
Yeah, that there was that they were far apart on money, and then it came out the next week from Barry Jackson that there was a gap in the current negotiations regarding pay, verifying. But what are your guys' thoughts on the whole Christian Wilkins situation as it continues to linger on here, especially as you guys have seen Daron Payne, 4 years, $90 million, and then what's his face got that? Who was the other defensive tackle that just signed? BallGame? Simmons, yeah, and you saw Simmons got $23.5 million a year, something like that.
23.5, yeah.
So, what are you guys' thoughts on Christian Wilkins right now, and that whole situation? I'll start with you, BallGame.
I don't think it's gonna be an issue, bro. I think they're gonna just be real crafty about the guaranteed money that he'll get. Ross has already assured them that he's willing to write the check for whatever it needs to be to ensure that the players get an opportunity to stay here. So I just think maybe where they are right now, it's not as far apart as it was previously, and they'll get there. They'll get to a point that both sides is comfortable. I mean, they're not in the business at this point now where they are. What I've seen the last couple of years of making deals that are going to ultimately screw them over, but at the same time, they want to make sure that Christian feels appreciated and that he gets truly what he deserves. So with Grier having Ross, like I said, with Grier having Ross's confidence and access to the books, I mean, sky's limitless. They just gotta whittle it down and get to where both sides just willing to shake on it and say, okay, we feel good where we are. And I believe that'll happen. I think he'll probably get one of those guaranteed, more guaranteed money and a lot of, huge payout up front, you know what I'm saying? And then I don't think Christian's the type of kid that's built to just get the money and not continue working. And they believe in, and they believe in him enough to be able to possibly give him a deal like that, which is player friendly, very player friendly, and very organization friendly. What they're building is something different than previous regimes. So I think they'll work it out.
Your thoughts, Richmond?
Yeah, I think they will work it out. I think he is one of the leaders on this football team. I think he's well respected. I met him at the draft, but it was briefly. I was up at that Nashville, met some of his family, but just the way he's carried himself, he's a leader. He stayed, I think, that last year at Clemson, and they won a national championship, whatever. So he's the type of guy that definitely you want. He's one of those core type of guys, and I think he'll probably end up just like with Simmons and those other guys, somewhere in between, 22, somewhere in there. And like you said, it's the guaranteed money. The way they structured and listen at the more guaranteed money, this and that. But it'll probably be worked out maybe during training camp or something like that. I don't think it'll be worked out early. But
right.
Not that it's not going good. It's just it's a process. So yeah, but I think he'll be on the team. So yeah.
All right, continuing on.
So far, not adding another tight end besides Eric, who you signed, and a backup defensive tackle. Are those positions you think you could address in the draft? What's your thinking there?
Yeah, I think, our approach is we're evaluating every position going to it very thoroughly at every position. We've had our 30 visits that you like to track and you do your work, your Inspector Clouseau stuff on it. And, for us,
I love Barry Jackson.
It's every position. So we brought in guys that have from basically every position except quarterback into the building. So
you hear that?
We're always looking for
jabronis,
good players that compete for roster spots because that's how we get better with competition.
For both of you, when you look at your roster, and you look at what's in the tight end room right now, what do you see? How comfortable are you? And transferring that forward, what do you see in this tight end draft class? A lot of people have said it's quite talented and deep. I wonder if you agree.
I'll
like how he
talk
structured
about,
that
our
question.
room, and I'll let Marvin talk about the draft class. With us, our room, we're happy with it. Obviously, you know how we feel about Durham. We've talked about Durham for a long time. Letting Mike leave was he earned the right to be a free agent. Obviously, I've drafted him. We've talked in here before about how I feel about him. I'm very happy for him, other than he went to New England. So I said I got to root against him twice a year. But very happy for him. But we're excited for some. Eric was a good addition for us. And Tanner we feel has good upside. So we're going to keep looking to add at that position. Some competition.
There you go. There's that word.
Guys there.
There's that word.
How Durham leads and what he provides for our team.
And as far as the draft class this year is most of you guys know, this is probably one of the deeper tight end drafts than it's been in the last several years. So we feel good about having an opportunity to grab a good football player if he's available, when we're picking. Like we're going to look at every position, but there's a strong chance that there are going to be a lot of tight ends selected early.
So everyone's joking that he kind of spilled the beans by the fact that he said, so we feel good about having an opportunity to grab a good football player if he's available when we're picking. And then he said, we're going to look at every position. But he did also say there's a strong chance that a lot of tight ends are going to be selected early, right? You got a guy like Dalton Kincaid, who wants to receive, goes to receiving as a receiving weapon. I mean, Green Bay, Cincinnati, the Chargers are teams I'm hearing in the first round that are looking at tight ends and stuff and such like that. So, yeah, we'll see how it all works out, and we don't pick till all the way at 51. So I just thought that was a very, very interesting little nugget there, and they both acknowledged how deep it is of a class as well. Let's keep it rolling right here because I'm going to ask you guys something about Christian Wilkins.
Your point, you got a ton of wide receivers now, including two very, very good ones. Cedric Wilson kind of got squeezed by the numbers game last year. Is that a concern again this year? And can you say with certainty he's definitely on the team in 2023?
Well, I would say, it's a very talented room, which was, going back to Chosen too. We didn't promise him anything. We said we got some good young players here that are pushing for time, and he understood that. So Cedric is, was signed here to be the number 2 at the time, and then we made the trade for Tyreek. And but how he handled himself, he's an incredible professional, like volunteering to return kicks for us again at the end of the year. He saved us and won us some games with some key returns that probably people don't even really give him credit for. The expectation is here. Now we've had teams call and ask about him. We're not shopping him, but teams have called, and especially when we just added Chosen, we've had a couple teams reach out. So again, he's a really good guy, and I try and do right by him because how he's handled himself on and off the field.
What do you guys feel about
your guy? I want to hear you guys' thoughts on what he just said right there about how teams have called on him and they said they're trying to do right by him as well. What are your guys' thoughts about that? Because those are two key. When you say I'm trying to do right by him, that usually means I'm trying to give him a
trying
good
to set the player up for success elsewhere.
Exactly. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think y'all both just said it, and the good thing is if they do have to trade him, they want to trade him to a team where they're headed in the right direction as well as the Dolphins, because like he said, he appreciate some of the stuff that he did last year for him, this and that. So sound like he really likes the player, this and that. He respects him, and the way he still approached with his work ethic, regardless of, like you say, bringing in guys like Tyreek and stuff like that. So they said, hey, I want to do right by him. So the way you do it, if we can't keep you, at least let me put you in a good situation rather than just throwing you to anybody and just saying, the hell with it. So that's the way I kind of read that.
Your thoughts, BallGame?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, but I do know that Cedric's price tag didn't match up to his productivity, and it's still a business, but the guy did go out and do dirty work for them, when he finally became healthy. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to move Sherfield out of that third receiver role. So his price tag is a little bit steeper than what you would want for a guy that doesn't have any real productivity. And receivers, man, they got this bringing Berrios in makes things a lot difficult too, because he said in the presser that Berrios is going to get a lot of time in the slot. Get some time in the slot too, as well as punt returning. So I like the fact that they're still committed to doing what's best for both parties, not just for themselves. And, said if he's still with us, then we'll embrace him. If he's not, then like you said, look to set him up to go somewhere where he can contribute and be a part of something that's positive. So, I don't think it's too far-fetched though that he might get traded.
So I was going to ask you, how do you guys see this playing out? Do you see him being traded now with the addition of Robbie Anderson, and they want Eric Ezukanma to take on a bigger role? Braxton Berrios is pretty much locking down that slot now. Let's be honest with ourselves. How do you guys see that playing out? Do you see him being traded before training camp?
Well, here's the thing. Right, when you look at the numbers, right, there is one thing in particular that's similar about all of the Dolphins receivers, with the exception of Sayed, and I can't remember exactly what Eric ran, but all these guys are sub 4.4 guys, and this offense is built around speed, and hell, even Sherfield was, I think, at times the odd man out when you take into consideration how fast Waddle and Hill were, but he made a name for himself because of familiarity with the scheme. It's just going to be hard, I think, to justify the price tag without having the productivity. And like I said, it all comes down to wanting to do right by a guy. If his guy's not the guy that you thought he could initially be for you, then you got to do some things different to make it work for both people. And I don't think it's that far-fetched that he could be moved on draft day.
Okay, so I guess I don't know how this didn't make the clips, so I made sure I got it in here. But this was one of the key parts to check out this question, guys, and let's talk about this.
I know we draft capital what it is this year. It is what it is. Going for picks. Have you guys explored trying to move up? Would you like to?
I was waiting for someone to ask that one. We've had a couple teams in the bottom half of the first round reach out about saying they would be interested in coming down possibly if their guys aren't there, and if we'd be interested in moving. So for us, we'll, again, any opportunities we can to get a player, we'll look at it. But no serious conversations, but we've had those, and we'll keep those options open.
So he's kind of, a lot of people that I spoke to were surprised that he was that forward about discussing potentially moving up, and that he's had conversations about it. Your guys' thoughts on that? Because, listen, another guy who could probably fetch a mid to late first round pick is a guy we just talked about, who, if he's asking for 23.5 million, if he's asking for 23.5 million, is that a conversation you'd be willing to listen to? Anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on him potentially moving up, trading up in the draft? I personally don't see it. I see us more than likely trading back. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Get more picks.
Yeah,
I think you always gotta say, there's a possibility, but like you say, it makes probably more sense that we move back rather than up.
Yeah.
But like you said, teams are always gonna kind of reach out, especially when they know you don't have a first round pick or whatever, and they're trying to check your pulse to see, hey, if we don't get the guy we like, would y'all be interested in making a deal, this and that? And it's like, playing poker. So you got to kind of say, well, yeah, this and that. But I agree with you. I think it makes more sense for us to possibly move back than to try to move up. So he kind of shared it, but I didn't read too much into that. Just kind of like just answer the question. So yeah, I don't think it'll happen. I'm kind of
neither do I.
Thinking like you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we stay homegrown for once, man. It'd be good to finally see them draft some players and then allow them to be here for the duration, right, of their careers. Because man, you don't get guys like Christian Wilkins showing up on your front door every draft. They just don't build them like that. And what he's been able to do for himself and for this team since day one of being here, bro, you got to reward that. And it is what it is,
Yeah. I don't know about 23.5 million rewarding, but I'm fine with 18, 19 million. When we start getting into 22, 23, I'm not getting enough of a pass rush from him to start.
Yeah, I don't. They can pay him without paying him that, right?
We'll see, because I think he's going to be landing around Daron Payne's money. So, all right, and then finally, the last little tidbit from this.
Roster stands at running back, bringing back last year's guys, and could you speak on the potentially adding?
Shout out to David Feronis for asking the good questions.
Well, I mean, the running backs we have, obviously, we like them. We brought them back, and they're coming in on 1-year deals. So obviously, we're going to keep our heads open to see what's available in the upcoming draft and free agency. We're looking at all opportunities to bring in good football players. So obviously.
Get
running
cooking
back is a key component in this offense.
There you go, right there.
Look for the best players we can find.
Right here.
Tell me what I tell him, man.
Creativity with the trades made over the years. You got one more in you this month?
We'll see.
He laughs and says, "We'll see." This guy. Oh, he knows what they're talking about, doesn't he?
He already knows. Yeah.
Rhymes with book. All right, let's get into your guys' thoughts on Can we all agree non-committal to every running back in that room right now? And basically
deals.
If Jahmyr Gibbs falls to us or Dalvin Cook becomes available at our cost and our liking, yeah, it's happening. You know what I mean? So I still think Dalvin Cook's going to be a Dolphin sooner than later. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's get into his media availability here because we got a couple things we want to go over here. First of all, we had to include this in the clips.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Omar. What's up, man?
Look at that face.
Hey, my man. Okay. Good to see you.
Hey, what's your current belt ranking in your jiu-jitsu?
Still a white belt. I'm still a white belt. I just started.
So what have you learned, though?
Obviously learn how to fall. Learn how to fall. Learn some grappling techniques. Learn some other things too that I don't think I should.
He's a legally licensed
for the most
now.
part. Learn how to fall. You think it's easy? Just don't fall and hit your head. But I mean, there's a lot more to it.
You say that to specifically for us that don't know about judo. How did they teach you?
I mean, we used like crash pads to land on first with trying to fall. Obviously, with tucking your chin, that was one of the deals, but it went a lot more into the technique of how to disperse your energy when you fall. Kind of like the posture you want to be in, and if you're not presented that posture, what are other things that you can do to help you disperse the energy when you fall. So it's a lot of those things, and it's actually a lot cooler than you think when you hear of learning how to fall.
How do you not love this kid?
If I can follow up, if you have a split second to think, I mean,
This is a good question, and I love this answer. Listen to some of the things he says.
Well, I've been falling a lot this offseason, so I think just like anything else, you continue to train it, you continue to work at that, it becomes second nature. Then when a situation like that does happen, it's not something new that's presented to you. And for, guys at my position, we barely get hit, if that, throughout practices, throughout the off season, even going into training camp. We don't even get touched, until the season starts. So, I mean, with jiu-jitsu, I've been thrown airborne. I've been put in many uncomfortable positions, for me to learn how to fall and try to, react throughout those positions that I'm getting thrown around in.
Listen, guys, I've been gushing over him, and I'll say it again to you guys. This guy always learns what he has to do better and attacks it so hard. His work ethic is just so impressive, honestly. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Because he's really taking this. I mean, he's going to get into talking about his neck and stuff too. He's really taking this learning how to fall and disperse that energy evenly seriously.
Yeah, I think he takes everything seriously. I just, when you ask how are they teaching you, I mean, how is he going to put into words what he's actually doing? If you want to know what they're teaching him, come take a class with me and see what what we doing up in there. You can learn how to fall with me if you got enough time going on with me. But sometimes the media, sometimes the questions, I'll be like, bro, really? Come on. But he always seems to keep a positive attitude, and he doesn't let some of the questions fluster him, or you really don't see it on his facial expression, this and that. But like you said, he's always been the type of kid that whatever it is, he works on it in the off season to become better at it, this and that. And I think he understands that, and that's what he's doing now. So, hats off to him.
All right.
Quick follow up. I know there was a lot of talk about you, about what you should do and whatnot. I mean, truthfully through it all, was there any thought about walking away or whatnot after the second time you put in protocol? And just if not, what kind of led you to have that confidence to not really consider that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I think I considered it, for a time, having sat down with my family, having sat down with my wife and having those kind of conversations. But really it would be hard for me to walk away from this game with how old I am, with my son. I always dreamed of growing, playing as long as I could to where my son knew exactly what, he was watching his dad do. And yeah, I mean, it's my health, it's my body, and I feel like this is what's best for me and my family. So, I mean, I love the game of football. If I didn't, I would have quit a long time.
Your guys' thoughts on him saying that he considered it? The way he kind of stressed it, it almost feels like, yeah, I considered it for a time, like a split second, and then I had conversations with everyone, and I decided, no, we're not doing that. What are your thoughts, BallGame? Especially as let's look at this from a parenting standpoint too, BallGame.
Listen, so the fact that he realized that he's playing possibly one of the most violent sports on the planet, and he sat down and he took some time to self-reflect, tells me that he's not taking any of this lightly, right? You can go around the country and get all sorts of advice from anybody and everybody about what's going to possibly happen to you and what could possibly happen. But at the end of the day, taking a full inventory of yourself and where you are in your own faculties and thought processes about this game and how much you love it and why you're doing it. That's the mark. And to me, that's Tua showing that he's a grown man now.
Mm-hmm.
And considering, right, he said first and foremost, my family, right, which means that he's taking accountability for the fact that he's the head of his household, who has a wife that depends on him, and he has a son who he has to think about as well. Tells me that he is right in where he needs to be as in his maturation process, one as a quarterback, 2 as a husband, 3 as a father. You know what I'm saying? All of the things and
Yeah.
all of the responsibilities associated with that. And I don't have a problem with it because he didn't rush himself through the process. He took the time to do it. And I commend him for it. You know what I mean? Because it's easy sometimes to listen to what everybody else feel you're supposed to do or what you should do, but he did what was best for him. And I'm glad he emphasized my family, you know what I'm saying, which is his first priority. And then to the team, you know what I'm saying, and to himself, because he still got to stay true to himself. So I'm okay with it. You know, if he'd have said that, well, I listened to everybody and took everybody's information, then I made my decision based off of that, then I'll be questioning it because that means that you didn't do it for yourself. So as long as he planned for himself, for the love that he still has for the game, you know what I'm saying, even though it's a business, then I'm okay with it, you know. And he got all the boxes checked. And, you know, he did the right thing. He went and saw not just the team's doctors, but he saw a multitude of different doctors and got their opinions and sat down with his wife, who was going to be there for him when, you know what I'm saying, all this football stuff is over. And they made a decision that was best for them. I'm okay with it. So I salute him.
Salut.
So part of the process is learning.
Oh,
how to fall.
I was on there and not mine. That's fine.
You have to watch it.
Yeah.
How tough was it to watch? And then if I would have just done this or done this, that has to creep into you.
Yeah, it wasn't tough to watch. It wasn't tough to watch. You know, I want to get better at everything that, you know, I can do to help the team win games. And I know the biggest
I thought this was a
one
really
is
cool
my health,
nugget, what he
you know,
said
staying
there.
out on the field. And so looking at the film, you know, I was able to watch that with my jiu-jitsu coach, and we were able to, you know, kind of relive the scenario in how I got tackled, how I fell. And it wasn't just one particular game. It was, you know, multiple ways that I got taken down and how I could have prevented that.
I just thought that was interesting that his jiu-jitsu coach went that extra mile and said, okay, let's watch the film. Let's go back and study. That's kind of crazy to me that this guy found the one jiu-jitsu coach that's out here willing to watch film. All right. So I want everyone, because guys, my biggest pet peeve are these people, even in our own fan base, that say Tua's one hit away, Tua blah, 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 all this stuff. Okay. And listen to what Barry Jackson asked here. I believe it's Barry, and what he says.
When I talked to some neurologists after the season, they said there's no medical evidence that concussion or multiple concussions increase the chances of concussions 8 months, 9 months, 10 months later. It might be immediate aftermath, but not that long. Did they tell you that, or what was the thing that neurologists told you that made you feel best about continuing to play?
Yeah, they told me exactly what you said. They also told me that CTE wasn't going to be a problem.
Richmond, listen up.
It's only when you're constantly, you know, hitting your head against something. So it, you know, I think that tailors more towards, you know, linebackers, O linemen, D linemen, guys that are, you know, constantly, you know, going at it. So it, you know, that also played into the factor of, you know, my decision making and wanting to come back and play.
So there you go. He was told CTE is not going to be an issue. It's really more of guys that are constantly warring, you know, violent hands to the face, banging, etc. Well, not the good kind of banging, but you know what I mean? That kind of stuff going back and forth. So he's basically been told, listen, you know, you're not, it's what I've been trying to tell people. He's gonna have the same brain baseline as someone who's hasn't had a concussion. So he's gonna be back to normal. They told him you're good to go. So there you go, some more clarity from people that you know, neurologists and such were giving him a clean bit of health. So let's keep it
really
going.
have the same play caller back-to-back years. How do you think that continuity is going to benefit you, quarterback position?
Yeah, I mean it's been a lot better of an off season knowing that you know, I don't have to learn a new system. I don't have to learn new formations, new motions, new snap points, new cadences. It's good to know that, you know, I already have a year under my belt within the offense, and there's always going to be nuances, but it's not like a drastic change. So this is really good. This is good because of the guys that we have as well that have been with us last year under the same system, and we're all really, really excited to get things going.
Richmond, can you talk about the importance of having, because you're under Shula, and you guys pretty much had a pretty much sustained offensive coordinator and system. Can you talk about the importance of that at the NFL level, especially for a young quarterback?
Yeah, you bring that up, and it made me think about something on the cruise, and we were listening to some of the 72 team talk, and I don't know if the film is already out or whatever, but they showed it on the cruise ship that Coach Shula gave, I guess after he passed away, he had kept notes of the undefeated season, different things they needed to do each week to prepare this and that. So when we were watching the film or whatever, it was Larry Little, Zonka, Mercury Morris, and I think Greasy. They were all sitting around the table talking about it. But what was strange about it was some of the plays that they were calling back in the 70s. When I got there in the 90s, we still had some of those same running plays
really
in the playbook. And one of the things I heard Larry Little say was back then, they didn't, they believed so much in the plan that if they executed, that nobody could stop them. So it wasn't that, they looked at it and said, oh, we got to do this or that. They looked at more execution, and they believed in themselves that no matter what, they could find a way to come out and win. And I think when you get that level of confidence, it's hard to beat a team. And not when it's just one group, but it sounded like the whole team, whether it was receivers, quarterback, running back, lineman, offense, they believed in each other to where they were on a level that no matter what happened, whether they were behind in the fourth quarter, whatever, they could pull it out. So when he said that about not having to keep relearning, once you learn a system, and I know you can make tweaks in it, year after year, this and that, but when you got a base of plays that you don't have to think about, you just go out and execute. It's just like driving a car. When you first start driving, you got your hands at 10 and 2, but the more you keep driving, you get a little bit more comfortable, and you got one hand, and you can change the radio, and some people be texting and this and that. It's just your brain kind of goes on autopilot. So I know he's definitely happy. If he's been through that many different offensive systems and changes to have come back to him, that's huge.
And finally here,
playing playoffs, or was that not
I am not sure. I was going through my process with Kyle and just trying to do everything I could.
Athletic trainer for the Dolphins.
But at any point, whenever the team, Mike or Grier would have approached me and asked me if I were ready, there's no question, no doubt in my mind that I would have stepped up to the plate and answered the call. Thanks, guys.
So there you go, guys. He confirmed that if he would have been asked to play in the playoffs, he felt good enough that he would have been able to step up and get the job done.
They shut him down.
Yeah, they definitely shut him down. Guys, go ahead, BallGame.
I think it's okay, man. Like, there's so much riding on the future of this, and to err on the side of caution is not a bad circumstance. Obviously, we would have wanted to go from the playoffs, but everything happens for reasons. And I think sometimes when you think about the magnitude of which, if you lose a guy for longer than the time that we lost him, potentially just trying to push things, ahead of schedule, then that could have been way bigger and worse. I do like the fact that he mentioned and talked about how I said all the time, continuity is key. Like it breeds confidence. It breeds a different level of confidence when guys can go out after the first year, go into the same system the second year, and Mike's doing his installs and the stuff that he's adding. just builds upon that that's already been set. And they were, and nobody can deny it, bro. They were hella successful in the system. It's gonna be scary to think how much better these guys can be now that they're gonna have another year in the system, got the last year's success underneath their belt, and they're coming in hungry, ready to really at this point dial in on all of the X and O stuff, because Richardson talked about it too. The execution is key. And anybody that's ever played the game of football knows that no matter how great of a play it is, if the execution sucks, it's just a bad play all around. But the execution added in, perfect execution added in with even a mediocre play will make that play a great play. So I think that's the focus that Mike talks about that a lot in his pressers as well, that the goal is to get these guys dialed in and on the same page as quickly as possible so that they can start fast and not have the process like last year you anticipated with a new offense. There'll be some low moments, but you know what I'm saying, I believe no matter what the schedule said, they're gonna hit the ground fast, and other teams just gotta play catch up. They gotta hope their defenses are ready, because this offense is gonna be dynamic, and this defense that Vic's putting together, I believe, is gonna be amazingly talented and amazingly efficient out the gate, which is going to make some very interesting games early. But it's continuity. I talk about it every year. Remember, I talk about it. The sooner they gel, the faster they can gel, the better off things are. And he'll satisfy their offensive line requirements. I believe Grier's smart enough to know to do that. And then we'll just go from there. So I'm happy where we are right now.
All right, guys. Still over 400 of you in the room. Smash that like button on your way out. We're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna be back tomorrow night with Neil for episode of Fin Too Deep. Saturday, I'll be live with Ryan Roberts, and we'll be diving deep into what the Dolphins could be doing at 51 and 84, as well as a bunch of draft prospects. And then on Sunday, I'll be live for my defensive tackle big board. So we got a lot of stuff coming your way over the next 5 days. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through tonight. Please, again, smash that like button on the way out. Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Great show tonight. A lot of good nuggets to take away from those pressers. Guys, everyone, have a happy, healthy, and safe evening. And until next time, you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. We'll see y'all on the next one, guys.